So welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin. I'm the principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, law firms, and their clients. And I'd like to applaud the lawyers who care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Christopher Pettit. He's an attorney from Luper, Neidenthal, and Logan from Central Ohio, and I'd like to welcome you, Chris.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Great. So, Chris, tell us about you, your background.
Sure. I graduated from Ohio University twice, actually, once with a bachelor's degree and once with a master's degree in English. Attended law school at The Ohio State University. Started in private practice here in Columbus in 1998, and I have been at it now ever since. So it's 2021. I'm a shareholder here at Luper, Neidenthal, and Logan. I just moved here in April. Prior to that time, I worked for a firm with commiserate number of partners here in Central Ohio as well. Basically, we're a business and litigation firm. Specializing in a number of contractual areas, bankruptcy, and also in collections, commercial collections.
Got it. And what's your specialty? What's your favorite part of the law?
I do primarily business work, and I split my time pretty much equally between transactional work and what I call sort of corporate counsel. Helping business owners go through the complex maze of regulations, business issues, taxes, industry-specific issues that come up. And I spend the other half in court doing business litigation cases, everything from enforcing and reviewing non-competition agreements and other post-separation restrictive covenants, buyouts, closely held disputes between members of closely held companies, and similar business issues, including work under the UCC, both Article 2 and Article 9.
Got it. And you told me a story about the briefcase.
Yes.
And I think the people watching today, they're going to love that story. Can you share that story again?
I'll be glad to. I spent some time working at a law firm in Cleveland that was a large law firm in the city. And we handled a variety of business cases, employment cases, and some personal injury. I had a gentleman who had been injured in a severe traffic crash with a truck. And he ended up being very severely injured, and he got a substantial settlement for his injuries. Seven-figure and higher kind of settlement. And so once we met his subrogation obligations and the firm took our share relative to fee and costs, he had several $100,000 in cash coming to him. He came to our offices in order to receive his distribution. He took his check and left. We shook hands and passed pleasantries. I went back to my office, and about 10 minutes later, I got a call from one of the bankers at Key Bank in the downtown Cleveland branch. He was there and he was wanting to cash the check. And the banker wanted to know if that was okay to do. It's his money, so he was more than welcome to have the cash. He said, "Are you sure that's a good idea? Because he's got a briefcase and he's going to put that cash in it." And he ended up taking the bus home with several $100,000 cash in his briefcase. I never heard from him again, so I can only assume that he made it home safely, but I don't know how long that money lasted him.
You didn't see him show up in the obituaries, though, did you, the next day?
That's right.
I heard that. Right.
I'm surprised. If anybody on that bus knew how much money he was carrying around in that briefcase, he may not have made it home.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting occurrence. And one thing, he never mentioned anything to me about it. I would have advised him, obviously, to be a little more careful about that and use his bank account and electronically distribute money as he needed it. But he wanted the cash.
Yeah, the capital sometimes reverts back to its rightful owners, and let's certainly hope that he became one of those rightful owners. But suitcases of cash, they tend maybe not to end up so well.
It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
More in tune with what I do currently in terms of helping owners buy and sell businesses. I had a gentleman, and he worked in the trades, and he had worked from the time he was 17. He had opened his own company, worked very hard, 12, 14-hour days, as people in the trades tend to do. And he was very successul, and his company made a lot of money. And by the time he was 44 years old, he was ready to sell out, and he had an offer, and he got a good payment for it, $1 million plus buyout to acquire the business. And the whole concept was he was going to take that money at 44, and he was going to spend the rest of his life riding Harleys and hanging out on boats at Buckeye Lake and drinking beer and enjoying life. And that lasted about 18 months. And it wasn't the money, which he was pretty good about. It was bored. He got bored, and he got sort of tired of hanging around, and he decided he wanted to start into a new business venture. And he had called me about giving him some advice in buying into a marijuana farm, a marijuana grower. Well, here in Ohio, we do have medical marijuana laws, but it's not legal for recreational use. And the Supreme Court takes a fairly dim view here in Ohio of attorneys providing legal advice to folks who want to invest in marijuana businesses, because it is still a controlled substance under the federal law and remains illegal under the federal law. So technically what we're supposed to be doing is telling these folks that marijuana remains illegal and a controlled substance under federal law, and they shouldn't be involved in it. Well, he didn't want to take that advice, and he was adamant about investing in this company out in California. It was a grower. So the owner of the company out there wanted him to wire transfer the money. And I said, well, you can't do that. The bank won't take it, for one thing, and for another, that's a potential criminal activity. You don't want to do that. So then he wanted to write a check. I said, no, same problem, different mode of exchanging the cash. Mm-hmm. And after going through several ideas, including, I'll just maybe take a whole suitcase full of cash and fly out to California on a plane. I wouldn't do that either. Mm-hmm. The best we could come up with, and what he decided to do was to go ahead and put a trunk full of money together and drive out to California here from Columbus to hand the money over to the guy personally, which he did. And that again, it lasted about 24 months, maybe a little longer. They had a bad drought in California. The marijuana crop dried up, and most of his investment is now gone. So, in that case, I think sometimes the lesson is what seems to be the best business opportunity on paper oftentimes isn't. He'd have been better off sticking with some traditional investments, putting his money into a diversified kind of portfolio, putting it in the market, putting in some investments. But he wanted to take a flyer in the marijuana business, and like a lot of people, he got burned. So, yeah.
Although I have to tell you, a traditional, and by the way, you gave great counsel. So, any fee that you may have charged was worth its weight in gold. But there's no way that a traditional portfolio would be anywhere near as much fun as a potential pot business in California.
No, and potentially
manage that allure.
That's right. On paper, those things look to be booming, and there are opportunities to make a lot of money. But unfortunately, like most growers, you're stuck with what the weather's going to do. And in this particular location in California, they have just had horrible heat, and it's been getting worse every year. But in this particular instance, it ruined the crop and basically busted out the business.
Mm. Yeah. Did he get any capital back?
Very little. He got some, but very little. And he's back working in the trades now, unfortunately. So
now he's probably 47. After a 3-year hiatus, and maybe but he's got some experience behind him,
and a skill which you can't understate. Absolutely correct. So those are my two stories of interest in terms of going above and beyond. And in both cases, giving him advice that was practical and useful, despite dancing around maybe some of the technical issues about advising people in putting money into these kind of marijuana businesses specifically, got him least kept him out of jail and kept him from doing something illegal, which was good.
Well, he's blessed to have met you. So, by the way, Chris, how do people get in touch with you? What's your phone number?
My number is 614-229-4407.
One more time.
Yep, 614-229-4407. That line goes not only directly to my office. We all the lawyers here have direct in dial that we use, so you don't have to run the gauntlet of secretaries and paralegals and people that are trying to frustrate you and not talk to a lawyer. So we're more than happy to talk to people off cold calls and people who call in, folks who see things like this and want to get in touch with us. We're more than happy to talk to folks about their legal and business problems. And if it looks like something that we can provide help with, we always have a face-to-face meeting before we do an engagement to make sure that everything is copacetic.
Terrific. And what about a web address?
It's www.luperneidenthal.com.
We're going to have to Google that one. That's going to be tough to
Luper, Luper, Neidenthal, Neidenthal. Got
it. And you're in Central Ohio.
We are. We have an office just outside of downtown Columbus. So we have an office just outside of downtown Columbus in the city of Grandview. So we're right near downtown. And I'm told that to find us on the web, you can also use www.lnlattorneys.com, which is easier to remember.
That's easier.
Yep.
And so now I think people, after hearing your briefcase story, your suitcase story, they're all going to go out and buy stock in Samsonite. Who knows?
It's not a bad investment. Samsonite.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been the Lawyers Who Care podcast, the video show that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. My name is Andrew Samalin, principal of Samalin Wealth, and thank you again for joining us, Chris.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here with you.
Great. And thanks to everyone watching. Have a great day.